Masters of the Universe, He-Man, Defender of Grayskull was released for the PlayStation 2 in 2005, and this game would act as a separate story to the iconic cartoon series that we all would have remembered and grown up with in the 1980s. The game was scheduled to be a multi-platform game, but unfortunately it only ever appeared on the PS2. So the main story revolves around you controlling He-Man, where he is trapped inside of a prison and your goal is to escape, and the idea then is to defeat enemies, as the gameplay style uses a hack and slash element to it, very similar to games such as God of War and other types of action adventure games. And He-Man's goal is to stop an invasion of demons and other monsters that will invade the realm. So not only do you gain access to various combat elements using He-Man's sword and using various combat moves and kicks and punches and so forth, but you also do gain access to a variety and selection of special moves and even magical powers and other additional elements that you can use to fend off enemies and defeat them as you play, all while progressing through the story in each of the levels that the game offers. So for many of us growing up, we would always have remembered the He-Man cartoon series, and most of us, like myself included, would have been big fans of it. You would have always watched it, well, first thing in the morning whenever there was cartoons on the TV. So this was a pretty cool idea for the chance to get to play as He-Man on the likes of consoles. So that was a pretty cool idea. Now, in saying that, the game is fun to pick up and play. Now, it does have some nice features, although it wouldn't have as good of a play style in terms of its gameplay mechanics when you compare it to other hack and slash games that would have been seen on the PS2 at the time, as the elements provided in the game feel more like a lower kind of quality or budget entry style experience. But it's still a decent game in its own right, although it didn't get the greatest of reviews, feeling that the game was lacking on many elements, both on the gameplay front and combat elements, and even in terms of the visuals. But it was a nice entry into the He-Man universe, and to get to play as the character on consoles, so that in itself would have been appealing to a lot of fans out there. It's still a decent game in its own right, and it is worth trying out, and mostly fans of the TV series and cartoon, even the movie from years gone by, would definitely want to try this out to see what they think for themselves, as it will just remind you of that kind of nostalgic trip down memory lane that we all had when we were kids growing up. Although it can be tricky to master, and at times, due to the puzzle elements in the game, sometimes it's not too obvious to understand really what it is that you're supposed to do, so it can be a little bit confusing at times. And then with the clunkiness of the combat elements, as it can be a little bit sluggish, will probably add to the frustration for some players. But it is what it is. Again, it's He-Man, and getting the chance to play as He-Man, quite naturally people are going to want to play it anyway. Not the most polished game out there, but it's still a worthwhile experience for fans of action adventure games. So I do recommend you go and check it out. And again, if you're a fan of He-Man, there's no reason why not to. And I would love to know your thoughts of this game if you have played it, and if so, what do you think of it overall? And are you a fan of the He-Man cartoons from way back in the day? I'd love to hear whatever stories you do have of this game, so be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see more content around other types of action adventure games also seen on the PS2, then you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And I will see you all in the next one.